In Norway, when Easter rolls around, something unexpected happens. It's not just cabin trips with friends and family, crossword puzzles, and sunny ski trips across snowy mountains. In addition, bookstores and TV screens are suddenly filled with the most heinous and brutal murders. Because it's finally time for Easter crime. But why crime? And why during Easter? What Norwegians mean when we say the word krim, the Norwegian for crime, can be everything from murder mystery detective stories to thrillers and noir. Basically, any story that features a mystery around a crime that has been committed. Crime stories are everywhere at Easter in Norway. It's not just in the form of novels you'll find stacked on coffee tables, but also in TV shows, radio programs, and even in the pages of newspapers. Miniature crime puzzles are printed on milk cartons, and I remember that stories printed in Donald Duck magazines and pocketbooks released around Easter would often focus on some sort of detective story, so even the kids got to take part in the tradition. Some have suggested that the roots of this tradition may be tied to the original story of Easter. After all, Easter itself has its origins in a story drenched in drama, crime, and violence: the trial and crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. In that sense, the connection between crime and Easter seems almost fitting, a dramatic, tragic tale centered on betrayal, punishment, and redemption. But here's the thing: while the connection between Easter and crime could have some spiritual resonance, the Norwegian habit of diving into crime fiction during this holiday is entirely unique. It's true that people around the world celebrate Easter in their own ways, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of other people spending their time reading whodunits and tuning into crime dramas other than Norwegians. So, where did this tradition of reading and watching crime fiction during Easter in Norway actually come from? Let's start with a very practical explanation. The Norwegian Easter holiday is pretty long, with a 5-day long weekend to begin with. But spending only 3 vacation days will leave you with 10 days off in a row. Summer vacations are generally longer, commonly being about 3 weeks long, but comes with the expectation of traveling abroad or visiting family for a lot of people. Easter is often a much more laid-back affair, and that means plenty of downtime. And what better way to fill that time than with a gripping mystery? They're perfect for getting lost in. And crime literature was also mainly published in paperback editions, easy to transport in a rucksack into the mountains at Easter. Many Norwegian mountains are scattered with old, tattered crime books, abandoned in the corners of cabins after their readers have finished their thrilling stories. In fact, if you were to go hiking in the Norwegian wilderness, you might even come across some forgotten crime novels that have been left behind. Books that were read and enjoyed, but never brought back down from the mountains. They've become part of the landscape, like relics of the past, or they've probably dissolved in the harsh Norwegian weather. But perhaps there's a deeper, more mysterious reason for the Norwegian obsession with crime at Easter. Some have suggested that our attraction to blood and violence during this time of year is rooted in our ancient pagan past. Before the rise of Christianity, pagans celebrated the arrival of spring with rituals that sometimes involved blood sacrifices. Could the modern-day thirst for blood through crime novels be a vestige of these ancient rites? No, it's capitalism. The true origins of the Easter crime fiction tradition dates back to 1923, when a Norwegian author named Jonathan Jerv published a crime novel about a robbery on the train traveling between Bergen and Oslo, colloquially called the Bergen train, the Bergen line, or the Bergen railway. The novel was called The Bergen Train Robbed Last Night and was both set and released during Easter. Jerv and his publisher made a bold and innovative move. On the weekend before Easter Sunday, they ran a massive ad campaign in Norway's major national newspapers. The ad read, in large, bold letters, "The Bergen Train Robbed Last Night." To the average reader, it looked like a genuine news headline, an actual report of a crime. The publishers had cleverly disguised their ad as breaking news. This caused a stir, as many believed the train had truly been hijacked. The publicity stunt worked brilliantly. The book sold out almost immediately, and a new tradition was born. Jerv's novel became a bestseller, and the idea of publishing crime novels around Easter took off. The publicity surrounding Bergen Train Robbed Last Night was so effective that it essentially established Easter as the prime season for crime fiction. Today, more than 100 years later, Norwegian publishers continue to release crime novels specifically timed for the Easter holiday. The book was even so popular that it ended up being turned into a silent comedy film in 1928 called Snowshoe Bandits, or Thin Ice in English. This project was one of the first ever attempts to make a Norwegian entertainment film for the international market. The main roles were played by the married couple Aud Egede Nissen and Pål Richter, both stars of German silent films in the first half of the 1920s, and was directed by Uwe Jens Kraft, a German actor, director, screenwriter, set designer and film editor. The story is about a well-directed advertising stunt, where the character of Tom Haigberg is assigned to start an advertising project for the Bergen railway. He brings along some friends, and on the night of April 1st, they strike, robbing passengers on the train. When the newspapers write about the attack, everyone just thinks it is an April Fool's joke. Easter Sunday happening to land on April the 1st in 1923, and the Bergen Railway becomes the talk of the nation. Tom, having achieved his goal, returns the stolen goods, gets the job as advertising manager for the train company, and the railway director's daughter on top of that. The film premiered in Bergen on the 17th of September 1928 and was very well received by film critics in Norwegian daily newspapers, and well over 100,000 people saw the film while it was in cinemas in Norway from 1928 to 1929. Jonathan Jerv himself turned out to be a joint pseudonym for the poet Nordahl Grieg and Niels Lie, who was later known as a publishing consultant and translator. Grieg had just published a poetry collection, which had not brought in very much income. His friend Lie, who was also a student and a poor dormitory dweller in Christiania, the old name for Oslo, was looking for something that could provide some small income. They got the idea to write a crime novel, and the two friends would write every other chapter, meeting in a cafe every afternoon to read the newly written chapters to each other. Nordahl's brother, Harald, who worked in publishing, helped them market the book with the aforementioned newspaper stunt. This marketing campaign marked the beginning of what has now become an iconic Easter tradition in Norway. It's not just about reading crime fiction, it's about something deeper. It's about a moment in time when Norwegians come together to indulge in their love of mystery, suspense, and dark storytelling. It's a shared cultural experience that has become almost as synonymous with Easter as eggs and chocolate. My own favorite types of Easter crime stories are BBC adaptations of Agatha Christie novels, particularly Poirot movies. I also quite enjoyed Broadchurch, and everything with Sherlock Holmes is just lovely. There's also a wealth of Norwegian crime fiction authors who I may or may not cover at some point in the future. But there's plenty good to be found there. So, for now, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anyone who might like it, check out my Patreon, and have a lovely day. What are some of your favorite crime fiction stories?